found that my attention and my awareness just shifted from being caught up in the confines, the identification of what I am with this body mind vehicle, and just expanded, expanded. And I became aware, a witness to my thoughts and my experiences. So instead of being caught up in my thoughts, I had dropped back into a deeper space of being the witness of them. I discovered I could open my heart and my mind to the infinite, just like that, just like that. And it was wonderful. It was freeing. And I want to say that that experience was possible for me, and it's possible for anyone because the soul, that which we are, the essential self, already knows how to experience the infinite because that's what we are. So it's really just returning our attention and our awareness to our own self. We are spiritual beings, emanation of that absolute reality, like a wave on the ocean expresses and returns to the ocean. We are that. Now, I will say, with that experience with my teacher, because it was just a glimpse of reality, it didn't take long for me to return to the chat room of my mind, filled with all of its concerns and confusions. But I also want to add for all of us that any time we have that glimpse, it's significant because it is a portal into eternity. So it's not really a time bound moment. When we open our awareness to the essential self, then the pathway to the freedom of living our eternal life right here and now opens up before us. That pathway of possibility opens up. It appears as a possibility for us. And sooner or later, we embark on that path in earnest. And we embark on the enlightenment path because it's irresistible, because it is our destiny in this life to awaken spiritually. That's our higher purpose. That's what we're here for. And I want to say how fortunate for us that life is arranged to support that. And I want to point that out in two ways. So, our life is imbued with divine grace, which is always supporting all of life towards fulfillment of its purpose. And we're not excluded from that. We are always being supported by divine grace. And then, the spiritual path is learning how to cooperate with that divine grace that's always there. We don't have to earn it. We just have to learn how to cooperate with it. So the first thing is we're supported on the spiritual path because divine grace is always there. And the second thing is that life itself motivates us to wake up. Have you noticed? Right? It turns out that nothing else in life, short of enlightenment, short of waking up spiritually, will fully satisfy our hearts. So everybody wants to be free. Everybody. It's innate to the soul. The soul wants to be free to express, wants to be free of all forms of addiction, of bondage or ignorance, of not seeing things the way that they really are. We all yearn for that clarity and that freedom. We all want to be happy. We want freedom from suffering or sorrow. That's what motivates us every day to make the choices that we make. It's what motivates everybody. And the spiritual path is basically this it's the way that we learn how to make better choices. That's pretty simple. It's the way that we learn how to make better choices that move us in the direction of freedom, of happiness, away from creating more sorrow and suffering for ourselves and for others. It's how we discover who or what we are, what we really want in life, and how to go about experiencing ultimate freedom. Here's how I see it. At some point in life, we get tired of setting ourselves up for failure, and we yearn for a more authentic, satisfying way to live. Would you agree? That happens? Yeah, you're a good crowd for that. So, the first step is to see ourselves and the context of our life, the larger life, to see it more clearly. And as we begin to awaken, we discern that things are often not the way we thought they were or we imagined they were. And we begin to realize that how we see determines what we see. How we see determines largely what we see. Our focus is selective. So, our prior experiences, our beliefs, our desires color our perceptions of people and of circumstances and of ourselves. So, the first step, then, which is a universal step, is to ask for clarity. Ask the larger reality, the higher self, God, whatever you want to call it. Ask that for clarity. We open our hearts and our minds to the infinite, and we ask to see clearly the way that things are and to know what is true. And that is my daily prayer. It's the one we were chanting here before meditation. Let's meditate on that radiant light of absolute reality, and may that light inspire my thoughts and my actions. May I see clearly. When Arjuna, the great warrior in the Bhagavad Gita, prepares to go to battle with his inner drives, mindsets, beliefs, tendencies, when he prepares to head into battle really with himself, the forces within him, he asks the Lord, Krishna, to drive him in the chariot up onto the battlefield between the two forces so that he can see clearly. So, really, this great spiritual teaching starts with that prayer. Lord, help me see clearly. Arjuna says, "O imperishable one," to Krishna, "draw my chariot between the two armies so I may see those poised for battle. Let me see what's going on here and let me see it clearly. Don't let me run off with how I think things are. Let me see clearly what I must face and what I must do." The Prophet Muhammad is said to have offered this prayer: "O Allah, show me the reality of all things as it really is. Show me the reality of all things as it really is." There's a Christian hymn, which is probably my favorite, by a woman named Clara Scott, written in the late 19th century. And open my eyes that I may see vision of truth thou hast for me. Silently now I wait for thee, ready, my God, thy will to see. Open my eyes, illumine me, Spirit divine. And the prayer that we began the service with today from the Rig Veda, lead us from the unreal to the real. Open my heart and my mind to the infinite. It's a mantra. Open my heart and my mind to the infinite, a prayer that we can apply in so many moments of our day if we're willing. Show me things as they really are. Let me see clearly. May I not be fooled by appearances, led astray by my desires or my attachments or my emotions, my aversions, my ignorance, or my misunderstanding. You know, here's the thing. We already know that sometimes what we think is a good idea turns out not to be. And that sometimes what we want to avoid perhaps might be exactly what we need. To receive the illumination and the guidance we ask for when we pray for clarity requires us to have a quiet mind. The light of spirit within us, the presence of the divine self, will freely shine into a quiet mind, into a calm mental field. Then what happens is that with that light of spirit, our faculty of discernment and intuition is awakened, it's enlivened, it's enlightened. And then right thought and skillful action follows. So here's the thing: a quiet mind, a peaceful mind requires space. Space. Not outer space, but inner space. Space, moments of time. Let the soul stretch out where our thoughts can settle. Space where the rising of insight can be observed and reflected on. Higher truth and higher guidance, which emanate from the higher self within, from the Lord of love seated within our own hearts, are always with us. But we are often distracted. We're often distracted and can't access it. So I want to offer two steps. This is like the waltz of discernment. Two step. One, ask for clarity. Don't let a day go by without asking for clarity. Because if we have that, if we can follow divine will, we have everything. So, first step, ask for clarity. Second step, make space for it. So, start the day with prayer and meditation. End the day with it, however you find time to do that. Pray, meditate, and then sort of a caveat to this is also create some little moments in your day. So I'm going to call them yoga moments or mindful moments where you're just going to be quiet. You're just going to sit. So for some time now, I've been having this practice of doing this for 3 minutes after I finish a meal. And, I have one of these super watch things here that has a timer on it. So I set the timer for 3 minutes. So after meal, I just sit. I don't even worry about the 3 minutes because Apple will tell me. I just sit and I breathe and I allow things to digest, but I'm allowing my mind to settle. Now, if you take up that 3-minute practice, attach it to something that you're doing already. I'm eating already, so I attached that practice to the time after a meal. When you have your 3 minutes, it's not a 3 minutes to do something. So you'll find that that's the natural tendency of the mind. You'll be sitting for your 3 minutes, and the mind will start planning what you're going to do when your 3 minutes are over. Then you start your 3 minutes over. And it's not that it isn't okay to have thoughts. You can have thoughts that arise because that's what the mind does, but you can tell the difference between when you're just witnessing the thoughts and when you have become involved in them. You're starting to make a plan for how you're going to do what you're going to do. Or sometimes I would find myself, after the meal, taking my 3 minutes, planning what I was going to have for the next meal. So just, start over. And the best way to really have your mindful moment is just breathe. Be aware of your breath and be aware of your thoughts, but let them float by. So try this practice out and anchor to something that you routinely do. That's the way to create a new positive habit. Now, I want to say that the clarity that we need, the guidance we need, the insight that we need rarely comes during that time of meditation and prayer or during that 3-minute yoga moment that you're having. That's great because that's not the purpose of why you're doing that. So it's really helpful to know that. That's not why you're doing it. That's not the purpose of mindful sitting. It's not for figuring things out, it's for getting out. And by that I mean getting out of running around with our thoughts, being confined to our thinking mind. It's for opening our heart and our mind to the infinite. It's for expanding our awareness. It's for dropping back down into the witness consciousness. Quieting the mind with prayer and meditation opens a pathway of insight and intuition to flow into the mind. And then, this is how it works, clarity arises when it's needed. Clarity arises when it's needed. So we learn how to live in faith and we start noticing how this intuition, discernment, insight is arising. Then we see how things really are. We remember what we are, what the spiritual purpose of our life is. We remember that right where we are, the reality of God and God's grace already is. Truth already is. Okay, here's the lamp at the door part. Is a line from a poem by Kabir. Kabir is a mystic poet. It's included in Indian mystic verse compilation. So many bodies, so many opinions, but my beloved is in everybody, though invisible. Without the beloved, there is no life. Atman, the divine self, is luminous in each and every one. Blessed is the body in which that is known. What are you searching for like a fool, O friend? The object of your quest is within you, as the oil is in the sesame seed. Kabir knows him, capital H, him, as he is, but cannot talk about it, cannot express him. The devotee who can stay in the junction of the manifest and the hidden knows all that is within and without, like a lamp at the door. So this practice is learning how to be like a lamp at the door, connected within, seeing clearly without. As a handkerchief is in the threads comprising it, so is Brahman, ultimate reality, in the world, and the world in Brahman. O Kabir, there is no difference between the world, God, and ultimate reality. Ultimate reality is in all, and all is in ultimate reality. May we see clearly. Let's open our hearts and our minds to the infinite. Om.